The world is watching. Two nations, locked in a war with no formal declaration. A conflict stretching across borders, cyberspace, and ideology. Today on Conflict Explained, we dive deep into the shadow war between Israel and Iran, and uncover why Israel currently holds the upper hand. But the question is, for how long? This rivalry began not with guns, but ideology. Iran and Israel were always enemies. Before 1979, they were even allies. Since Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution, its leaders have called for the destruction of the Israeli state, framing Israel as a Western outpost in the Muslim world. Iran champions the Palestinian cause, supports militant groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, and funds Shia militias across the Middle East. Iran's leadership made the destruction of Israel a core policy goal. From that moment, the stage was set for a decades-long confrontation that still defines the region. Israel, on the other hand, sees Iran as an existential threat, especially due to its nuclear ambitions, ballistic missile development, and regional proxy warfare. Over the years, their hostility has escalated into a covert war, played out across Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and cyberspace. Iran doesn't fight Israel directly, it fights through others. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iran's most powerful proxy, with over 100,000 rockets. At its core, Hezbollah's ideology is rooted in Shiite Islam, and heavily influenced by Wilayat al-Faqih, the doctrine that places Iran's supreme leader as the highest spiritual and political authority. Key pillars of their ideology include resistance against Israel, which they consider an illegitimate occupying force, opposition to Western influence, particularly from the US and France and Lebanon. Loyalty to Iran. Hezbollah considers Iran not just an ally, but a spiritual and strategic homeland. Their slogan says it all: death to Israel, death to America, victory to Islam. But make no mistake, they are just fighters. Hezbollah is deeply embedded in Lebanese society, especially among the Shia population. Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, trained and funded with Iranian support. In 2006, Hamas won the Palestinian legislative elections, shocking the world and defeating the long-dominant Fatah party. A year later, Hamas violently seized full control of Gaza, ousting Fatah forces and creating a split in Palestinian leadership, with Fatah in the West Bank and Hamas in Gaza. Shia militias in Iraq and Syria, attacking US and Israeli allies. This web of proxies allows Iran to pressure Israel, while keeping Tehran seemingly uninvolved. But here's the twist: Israel keeps striking back, hard. Israel's military edge is unmatched in the region. Air dominance. F-35 stealth jets allow deep strikes into Syria, Iraq, and possibly even Iran. Israel was the first country outside the US to operate the F-35. But they didn't stop there. They modified them. These jets are capable of deep strike missions into Syria, Iraq, and possibly even Iran, undetected by enemy radar. Israeli pilots are battle-hardened. They've conducted thousands of airstrikes on Iranian assets in Syria, Hezbollah weapons convoys, and Hamas targets in Gaza, often without losing a single jet. Precision strikes. Israeli drones and air raids have destroyed thousands of missile shipments and weapons factories. Precision intelligence. Real-time drone surveillance and advanced targeting systems. Missile defense. Systems like Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow 3 make Israel one of the best protected nations on Earth. Iron Dome, famous for intercepting short-range rockets from Gaza. With a reported 90% success rate, it saved thousands of civilian lives during conflicts with Hamas and Hezbollah. David Sling and Arrow 3, designed to intercept ballistic missiles, including those launched from Iran or Syria. Multi-layered shield. These systems create a defensive bubble that protects Israeli airspace from everything: rockets, cruise missiles, and even drones. Every time a proxy strikes, Israel hits back 10 times harder. That's part of what makes this a war without war. Forget tanks, the new battlefield is silent. Meet Unit 8200, Israel's elite cyber intelligence division. Often compared to the US NSA, this highly secretive unit is made up of brilliant young programmers, hackers, and linguists, many recruited straight from high school. Their job? Intercepting enemy communications, hacking into terrorist organizations, tracking threats through metadata, phone records, and deep surveillance. Israel's Cyber Command has executed some of the most daring digital operations in history. The Stuxnet virus, allegedly co-developed with the U.S., destroyed Iran's nuclear centrifuges in 2010. Mossad agents in 2018 raids a secret Iranian nuclear archive near Tehran and smuggled it out. Over 50,000 documents and 164 CDs detailing Iran's nuclear ambitions. Space and signals, total surveillance. Israel's intelligence agencies use satellites, drones, and electronic warfare systems to track nearly every movement in the region. Real-time drone feeds over Gaza, Syria, and southern Lebanon. Signal intercepts from enemy radar and encrypted communications. Monitoring Iranian militias across Iraq and Syria through electronic footprints. In 2021 to 2024, Israeli-linked hacks disrupted power grids, missile systems, and even fuel supplies inside Iran. Iran retaliates too, with attacks on Israeli water systems, ports, and banks. But Israel's cyber defense and offensive tools remain far superior. The objective of Operation Rising Lion target Iranian Quds Force operatives and Hezbollah weapon shipments in Syria. Disrupt Iranian military entrenchment and drone or missile capabilities. Eliminate high-value individuals coordinating attacks on Israel via Syria. Mossad and Amman, Israeli military intelligence, used human intelligence, HU intent, and signal intelligence, SIGINT, to track Iranian movements. Drones and satellites provided live visuals of convoy routes, weapons depots, and command centers in Damascus, Homs, and near the Lebanese border. Israeli cyber units hacked communications between Quds Force commanders and Hezbollah cells. 2. Timing and precision. Operation was timed at night, between 1 and 3 a.m., when Syrian and Iranian defenses were weakest. Israeli intelligence waited until Iranian weapons had arrived, but before they were dispersed to Hezbollah. 3. Airstrikes executed F-375I Deer. Stealth jets took off from Israeli airbases without being detected by Syrian radar. Airstrikes were launched from Lebanese airspace or over the Mediterranean, avoiding Syrian air defenses. Key targets hit. A secret underground weapons facility near Damascus. Iranian command and control centers in western Syria. The past 2 years have seen the conflict boil over. April 2024, Operation in Damascus. Israeli jets struck the Iranian consulate annex in Damascus, killing Brigadier General Mohammad Reza Zahedi and several IRGC officers. Iran vowed retaliation. Havand October 2024. Iran strikes back. Operation True Promise. 2. Iran launched approximately 200 ballistic missiles at Israeli bases, including Nevatim and Tel Nof. Most were intercepted. Minimal damage and one indirect Israeli fatality. Later that month, Operation Days of Repentance saw Israel conduct large-scale airstrikes deep into Iran, Tehran, Khuzestan, Ilam, crippling missile factories, air defense sites, and a secretive nuclear-related facility in Parchin. Havand early. 2025, Shadow War intensifies. January through February, Iranian drones reportedly attacked a Mossad base near Erbil, prompting Israel's Operation Rising Lion, a covert campaign targeting IRGC command infrastructure, followed by rocket salvos from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Iran resumed enrichment at 60% plus uranium levels, installed advanced centrifuges, and opened a new underground hall at Fordo, breaking from restrictive nuclear norms. June 2025, the 12-day war. June 13th to 15th, Operation Rising Lion. Israel launched synchronized covert Mossad drone sabotage operations from within Iran, plus combined airstrikes on over 100 sites, SSM launchers, command centers, missile depots, across Tehran, Esfahan, Kermanshah, Tabriz. An estimated 800 to 1,000 missiles were destroyed before launch. Iran's retaliation. Hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones struck Israeli cities. One major strike hit Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba, causing injuries and chemical hazards. Israel's continued strikes on June 17th to 20th included Natanz, Fordo, Isfahan centrifuge workshops, and the IRGC's internal security HQ in Tehran. Iran reported attacks on oil-rich Khuzestan cities and Tehran suburbs. Both sides suffered casualties and infrastructure damage. Iran, at least 430 killed, approximately 3,500 wounded according to Iranian sources. Israel, at least 25 dead, over 200 injured. Intercept systems shot down approximately 90% of drones and missiles, thousands of internal refugees and infrastructure strain. Where June 22nd to 23, U.S. enters the fray. The U.S. joined airstrikes using B-2 stealth bombers, dropping GBU-57 bunker busters on Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Israeli and U.S. leaders hailed it as crushing Iran's nuclear capability, but later admitted that some enriched uranium survived. On June 23, Iran fired missiles at U.S. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, all intercepted. Israel hit Tehran's Evin prison, symbolic of political oppression. Ceasefire negotiations accelerated. Letter June 24. Ceasefire. A U.S.-brokered ceasefire went into effect. Iran announced it first, followed 12 hours later by Israel. Diplomatic chess. While missiles explode and drones buzz overhead, another war is being waged behind closed doors. A quieter, more calculated one. This is diplomatic chess, where every move is about alliances, global image, sanctions, and survival. Israel and Iran haven't had diplomatic relations since 1979, after the Islamic Revolution, but make no mistake, they've been fighting indirectly for decades, through proxy militias like Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad, through cyber warfare, assassinations, and sabotage, and through global diplomacy, influencing how the world views their cause. Both nations are masters of narrative, each presenting itself as the defender, the victim, the moral actor. Iran's strategy: expand, influence, endure. Iran's diplomatic play is long-term and region-wide. Axis of resistance. Tehran backs groups in Lebanon, Hezbollah, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. Houthis, building a crescent of influence against Israel and the U.S. Nuclear diplomacy. Iran plays cat and mouse with the International Atomic Energy Agency, sometimes opening facilities, sometimes hiding them, keeping the world guessing. Global allies. Iran leans on Russia, China, and non-aligned countries to counter U.S.-led sanctions and build economic lifelines. The role of the U.S., China, and Russia. The U.S., Israel's key ally, but not always aligned. Washington sometimes urges restraint, fearing escalation. Why Israel is winning. As missiles fly and enemies gather, one truth remains: Israel is winning. Not just with bombs or bullets, but with strategy, technology, and timing. Let's break down exactly why. 1. Air superiority. Total control of the skies. Israel's air force is the most advanced in the Middle East. F-35 stealth fighters give it the ability to strike deep: Damascus, Baghdad, even Tehran. Precision-guided bomb, drone swarms, and real-time targeting make Israeli airstrikes deadly and surgical. Iran and its allies simply don't have an answer for that kind of reach and speed. When Iran, Hezbollah, or Hamas launch rockets, Israel intercepts them in seconds. Iron Dome protects cities from short-range rockets. David's Sling and Arrow 3 stop long-range missiles, even ballistic threats. New AI-powered radar and laser defenses are being tested for the next generation. In 2025, Iran fired hundreds of missiles and drones. Most were stopped in midair. That's not luck. That's dominance. Israel's Unit 8200 and Mossad aren't just good. They're legendary. Sabotage in Iran's nuclear facilities, assassination of top IRGC commanders, stealing 50,000-plus Iranian nuclear documents in a single night. In 2025, Mossad launched covert drone strikes inside Iran. Think about that. They didn't just hit targets. They operated from inside enemy territory. Capital H with hook. 4. Strategic doctrine. Hit first, hard, and deny nothing. Israel doesn't wait to be attacked. They hit weapons convoys before they reach Hezbollah. They bomb missile sites in Syria before they're operational. They take out Iranian generals before the next war even starts. Israel isn't reacting to war, it's managing it. 5. Diplomatic power and isolation of Iran. Through the Abraham Accords, Israel has created a new alliance system: UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan, and informal ties with Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, Iran is isolated, under sanctions, and facing internal unrest. When the war escalated in 2025, the U.S. backed Israel militarily, while Arab states stayed quiet or blamed Iran. Diplomatically, Israel isn't alone. Iran is. 6. Nuclear ambiguity equals ultimate deterrence. Israel doesn't need to say it has nuclear weapons. Everyone assumes it does. That means Iran won't dare go too far. Hezbollah won't launch everything it has, and enemies think twice before escalating. That's what real deterrence looks like. Conclusion. Why Israel is winning. Israel is winning because it adapts, it strikes preemptively, and it controls the narrative. Military edge, cyber dominance, psychological innovation. Psychological doctrine that says, never again, we strike first. This is not just survival, it's strategic superiority. This isn't a war with borders. It's a battle of shadows, where every drone, data leak, or airstrike shifts the balance. Right now, Israel has the edge, militarily, diplomatically, and in the eyes of the global community. But in the Middle East, power shifts fast. If Iran crosses the nuclear threshold, everything could change. And if a direct war breaks out, the whole region could ignite. Stay tuned. This story is far from over. We love it. Subscribe to Conflict Explained for deeper insight into global power struggles. Like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments.